And welcome back, episode 134 of the Ranting Rangers podcast in partnership with Inside The Rink. I'm your host, Jacob Berkowitz, and I'm alongside my co-host, Brett. Brett, I'm already losing my voice, and we haven't even started yet.
Why?
Because I was at the game, and you yell generally when there's a double overtime. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Did we win? I had
I think so. I saw Trouba fly like Superman, which was interesting.
That was pretty amazing.
I saw that and I'm like, oh, he's done.
He did all night.
I saw that and I thought like he was done. He's like, and I'm shocked he got right back up. But holy cow!
Yeah, he got back up to take another 2 penalties after that, right?
We chose sports to have fun, Brett. We chose to follow sports for fun. Can you believe that?
I didn't choose this life. It was thrust upon me.
It was thrust upon me. The stress.
I had like a massive headache for.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
all of OT, like behind the eye. If you get migraines, you know what that one is. And when Trocheck scored, I still like jumped up and screamed. And I could feel my head like throbbing with each scream, and I didn't care. I was like, I couldn't help it. It's funny how angry it sounds too. If anyone was like on the street and could hear me, they'd just be like, "Wow, that guy's saying fuck you a lot."
It's man, going into overtime, I'm like, if this was any other team in any other year, like even like Rangers any other year, I'm really worried, not just in general because of OT, but how the way they played. But I'm like, we've seen this team so many times just turn it around. And there were times in OT, they were having really solid 5v5 chances, which they did not have in regulation. And it's that type of element, that trait that wins a Stanley Cup. To be honest, yeah, no, I had a splitting headache on the way here. I'm like, oh gosh, thank God I don't have work tomorrow because I'm not waking up early. So part of me wants to not complain about the things wrong because it's like we won in double overtime. The Rangers lead the series 2-0.
Oh no, I'm still.
But I'm like, but we are a podcast. It's our thing to analyze and discuss what went down.
Yeah, I got a list.
It's the first 3 on your list, and I wasn't even watching, and I know how bad it was just because people were posting clips. ESPN, is that like your first 3 on the list?
No, it's actually like that was my like wrapping up point was going to be how bad ESPN is. I mean, I can start there if you like.
I mean, like, I can't rant that much about it because, again, I was at the game, but even I know how
bad it is. We're going to brag about that again, huh? Where were you tonight?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a sick game to be at.
Yeah, I went to I know you're going to say it again, but I went to the Stadium Series, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to another game that's going to top this. And, man, that's insane.
Yeah, absolutely was insane.
And by the way, I'm sorry. One thing, by the way, did you notice what was different about this playoff game compared to a playoff game last year when the Rangers weren't playing well? Did you notice a difference? There's something about a coach adjusting, changing lines, or
no, I don't think that makes any difference.
Any difference at all?
No,
because it's almost like we have a coach that coaches.
That's just superstition.
It's crazy. It's nonsense.
Yeah, complete nonsense.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. So while that was obviously a very close game, once again though, 2 of those shots were lucky deflections by Igor. That's about the only thing they really can score on us is kind of puck luck related goals. Otherwise, they just don't have it. I'm sorry, like it sounds crazy to say it's like you just won in double overtime. Yeah, we're better. And for one of the main reason, and this cannot be overstated, is the main reason why any Ranger fan should have felt confident going into the playoffs, which is that we have one of the best goaltenders in the league,
and they never die.
No, I mean, like, you could just tell that like after that third goal, he was like, yeah, they're not going to score on me. Like,
No.
I think if that would have gone into like 6 overtime, like he would have like 120 saves, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm not letting one in. So you can keep shooting it, but it's not going to fucking go in the net. So you might as well just give up because I'm not letting you fucking score. And that's what Igor said. And it was just incredible to watch him. Because, I mean, honestly, playoff Igor is a different beast. And I never, ever, ever want to hear a fan talk about some soft goal in the regular season by Igor or how he's not himself or whatever. I'm like, when the game matters, he is there. This
Did
is
we
what,
say this
27,
during the
28 games in a row now, playoff
did
games.
we say this halfway through the season? I believe we said
Yeah,
this. It's
we
almost
did.
like it was
Absolutely.
predictable, and everyone knew that when the stakes are highest, it doesn't matter how Shesterkin played, he's got to be there, and he's got to play out of his mind.
Yep.
And those 2 goals, man, this was Carolina close to their best, and this was the Rangers. Honestly, they did not play well, and they won.
Yeah, I mean,
those 2 goals, they're tying up the stick, and those 2 goals are not there.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that we didn't play well overall. We had a bad second period for sure. Otherwise, I thought it was actually relatively back and forth for most of the night. Again, with the exception of the second period. The main thing that I noticed the whole game was just we were a step behind. Like, it was clear that we were more tired than they were.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I don't know why that's the case, and if so, maybe Lavi needs to back off on the practices a little bit. I mean, obviously practice is important and everything, but like we were gassed.
There's no way they have a practice tomorrow.
From the very start, no, I would think not. Especially with travel too, I don't think they would do it normally. But even if they weren't, and they would, I would think after a game like that, where it was so obvious that we were tired, that would be a thing. One thing that I do want to bring up that isn't about the play, but is kind of a downer thing, is Fox is very clearly hurt right now.
I saw him during right before the second overtime. He was like trying to, I don't know if it was a leg or his hip, but he was like trying to bend down a little, like stretching something. I don't know what tweaked or whatnot, but something happened. If this was Trouba, first of all, I mean, we'll get to Trouba later, but
we'll get to Trouba.
we'll get to him. But you got to hope this with Fox is just, I mean, listen, he wasn't maintenance. He wasn't practicing on the ice. He was, maintenance for how many days?
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a couple anyway, but yeah. So, I mean, like it's not even like a matter of conjecture or just speculation. It's very clear that Fox is hurt right now, both by the way he's playing too. It's not quite there. He's still able to contribute, but it does make me wonder. I'm like, is this one of those injuries where it's like, well, he's not really going to hurt it more by playing, or he's not going to slow down his healing? But if it was, I'd be like, fuck it, give him 4 days off and heal up. Like, we need him at tip-top form. We don't need him hobbling into the finals if that can be avoided. But obviously, every game's so important. I get why you do play him. It's just,
I mean, this isn't like Schneider or Milo or Lindgren. It's
I get it. I know, but he's not able to do what he does best, right now.
True, but it's not like when, I mean, again, we'll get to him.
But it's not like he's a liability, even at half speed.
Right. He's not a liability, though. That's the thing. He wasn't playing, like, to our standards and to his standards. We were complaining because he's not playing to what he's supposed to be when he can be. That doesn't mean he's a total liability. He assisted on the second goal. Yeah, there were times defensively he was not himself, but he's not a total liability.
No, he's not a total liability. My thing is, I mean, and that's because, we don't, this is the NHL, so we don't get any optics into the injury and what's going on. It's just like, if it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he could actually benefit from getting, some extended time off, I'd almost be tempted to play the long game right now, up to in the second round. But again, I don't know the nature of the injury is. It could be one of those things where it's like, no, it's going to nag him and hurt him, but he's not going to injure it anymore. It's not going to slow down the healing time. It is what it is. There are some contusions and things like that you can get that where it's like it's going to hurt, but it's not going to get worse. It's not going to get better. If it's like that, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there that if it was something like that where it would be better if he took some time off, I would be fine with it because I want him. Obviously, we need him healthy for the whole run.
Yeah, no, it's not one of those where it's a liability, so you might as well bench him or scratch him. But I get when the refs don't want in overtime to call every penalty because they don't want a power play to determine it. But if you're going to apply that logic to one side, you better apply it to the other side, because until that penalty where the power play where they scored, man, it was every time there was a trip or a cross check, it was like, okay, they're not calling it because of overtime. But then you see them do it to Carolina and they're calling, you're like, well, hold on here. You can't really have it both ways here.
Yeah.
It was atrocious tonight. Just atrocious. I thought the Pittsburgh series in 2022 was bad. This blows it out of the water.
Well, it's funny because if you listen to Canes fans all over the internet, we're nothing but a bunch of divers, and the refs handed us the game.
Please, they were nominated for the 2024 Olympics this summer. Diving competition.
Ridiculous. It's such projection. Every fucking Canes fan is talking about how we dive. I'm like, no, there wasn't one fucking dive out there. That's you guys. That's your game. That's what you're doing. And I'm sorry, did you not have 2 power plays in overtime as well? I'm sorry that you've gone like 0 for 10 on power plays, for your last 10. That sucks. But like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, no, it's what were the Rangers in that?
And our friend Dave Jackson also said that was a penalty, Shea on Trocheck too. He goes, yeah, he pushes down on his hip. That's a cross check, and he loses his balance and then gains an advantage. He's like, in that situation, you have to call that penalty. And I'm like, that's exactly it. A cross check is not the same in all situations. Against the boards, a cross check that just kind of pins a person or whatever, it's not that impactful. It doesn't really make a difference. But a cross check that actually knocks the puck carrier off the puck and leads to a zone exit, that's a massive shift right there, especially in overtime. They had to call that. And Canes fans are just salty, delusional people who I'm not convinced even after their time in the NHL still actually fucking understand hockey, because I think they're the dumbest fucking fan base around. There's one more person I want to slag off real quick here is Evolving Hockey.
The Analytics Twins.
Yes, the Analytics Twins said earlier tonight, if there is one thing you don't do against the Rangers is take penalties. That's the only reason they're a good team. And the first sentence I'm fine with. If there's one thing you don't do against the Rangers, take penalties. Yeah, we got to lead the power play. That's the only reason they're a good team. As Igor stands on his head and had 50-something fucking some.
Are we going to ignore that last game was an incredible defensive game by the Rangers? Are we just going to flat out ignore that too?
Shut them the fuck down. We're 6 wins in a row here. And I'm sorry, it's the fucking playoffs, and power plays are fucking important. They pretty much always are. And if you look at this series and what's happening, the teams that are winning are the ones that are converting more on the power play. Big fucking shock. That just felt like such salty fucking energy from Evolving Wild that I literally canceled my subscription. I was like, that's a rancid take. I'm fucking canceling you guys.
We both know you're going to probably subscribe in the next 7 days.
No, I'm not.
Really? I'm subscribed to them. I like their player cards.
Yeah, their player cards are good, but you know what? They're not the only ones in the business, and that was a fucking rancid ass take. So I'll keep my money for now.
But every analytics group hates the Rangers.
I know. Well, these analytics nerds are fucking going. They're fucking making me lose my mind. Look, I like analytics, but like some of these people replace analytics as if that is just like that is the only way to evaluate the game, and because there's numbers. But I deal with this at work all the time, where it's like certain people need to have numbers and data in order to make a decision or have any analysis at all, because they're not capable of actually watching the game and seeing what's happening. I like analytics for certain things, but the prediction model of games for analytics is just absolutely atrocious.
Well, also Carolina gets inflated in a lot of, you know, who weirdly and who never favors us, who did actually favor us, is Money Puck.
Yeah,
that was really weird.
Yeah,
they've been favoring us recently. It feels wrong. I'd like it to stop.
well,
It's like bad juju, but Carolina Rangers went 10 for 10 on the PK so far in this series.
Yep.
What is Carolina? What were they, third on the power play during the regular season? I mean, look, the playoffs are a different. Playoffs are a different animal, but still, that means something.
Yeah, our PK is really fucking good.
Oh yeah, no, it's.
That's what
I love how I'm trying to look up stats and just the NHL app is the NHL app. Can we talk about? You know what? I am going on. I told people, because I'm not going to say you or specific people, because there's people who did still believe, but to those who didn't, I did tell you so. Alexei Lafreniere has 2 goals, 5 assists in 6 games played. It's almost like you don't give up on a 22-year-old kid that is in the most unique situation for a first overall pick, has 2 coaches that couldn't coach my beer league team, and didn't even give him a chance to, play the actual sport. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. I mean, he just missed getting a Hattie too.
Twice.
Yeah, I mean the one where he had the puck in front of the net and he just roofed it. That was a tough one.
You saw his expression after. We were so close to the Laffy Hattie.
So close, but
playoff Laffy Hattie.
Yeah, but no, he was incredible. The team in general, and that's why I tweeted after somewhere in the second period or second intermission, I said, "Look, I don't like anything that's happening right now, but you didn't." I'm like, "Did you watch the Rangers this year? If you're saying this game is over, like,
I saw that tweet.
Did you not watch our season? Like, how do you not see this? Like, we've done this many times. Like, all we needed to do was keep it close. When we were down 1 and the puck was in our zone, I was getting real nervous. I was like, we go down 2 here. I'm not sure if we have that level come back in us tonight, just because we were so tired, we were so gassed. But once we got that, I was like, yeah, we're gonna win this game.
Carolina had the second best power play during the regular season. We just had third, by the way.
Yeah.
And Tampa had first.
We're actually better. I'm sure too the Rangers didn't have that super down like January too. Those numbers would be a lot different if they didn't have that.
We would be number 1.
That tank period where everything was in jeopardy. It's amazing that we sucked that bad for like a whole month and still won the President's Cup.
Because Zibanejad stopped being a regular season player to be productive in playoffs.
And that's fine. I think I said something like
I will take that trade every day of the week.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, though, like out of everything, and there were plenty of things that impressed me tonight, but the one thing that impressed me most is that it didn't matter what happened during the regulation. When it came to overtime, I saw a few players do certain dekes and stuff that they don't normally do. And when you up your game like that, like I saw Will Cooley pull off 2 toe drags.
Yeah, you did.
I saw DC like chip it off over a defender and beat him to it. Like I saw, it wasn't Kako, it was Roslovic. Like split the like. If you have those type of players that up their game in overtime, not like because there's a problem when players are in overtime and they're worried they're going to be the one to make the mistake and they're going to be the reason why they lose. And everyone is conservative, everyone is hesitant. But not only do you have players that will be aggressive and are not afraid, they'll take it to another level. And that is beyond any other thing that's impressed me. That really shows that this team could really win it all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd like to switch gears here, especially because I do not have too much time. Head is still pounding, and it is very late because this is.
But we did survive the overtimes.
We survived the overtimes. It's now 12:40 a.m. on the East Coast here. But I do want to say 2 changes that need to be made. One, Jacob Trouba needs to be sat. He did nothing but take 3 penalties. He had a terrible giveaway.
9 penalties.
Huh?
Wait, why did I think he'd take 9 penalties?
How could he one take 9?
Yeah, I don't know why I thought no, because I'm sorry, it was the Rangers in total.
What are you talking about? No one takes 9 penalties in the
Brett,
game.
it is 12:42 a.m.
Anyway,
We went
I'm
through
just saying
2 double overtimes in the
he was
playoffs.
a
You got to cut me a bit
massive,
of slack here.
he was a massive liability tonight, and he's been one. And frankly, I would like to see Jones in. I think that would actually work better against Carolina as well, with his puck moving ability too, especially his outlet passes. Also, be more of a threat in the offensive zone too. Be nice having that. I think all around, it actually makes the team better not having a guy that's going to spend 6 minutes in the penalty box and give away pucks in the neutral zone, unpressured, that end up in the back of our net. The other thing is that it is high pass time for Hito. And look, I love Rempe. I really do. I love the kid. But I don't like dressing a 12th forward who you don't trust to play in the third period. I don't like having a short bench in playoffs, especially when games can go into double overtime and every ounce of energy is super important. Having a guy that you don't trust to play out there, and the fact that he's just such a penalty magnet because
Did you
it's
see
not
how the
his
refs
fault.
reacted to him when someone cross-checked him?
Absolutely
They went after
He
him.
gets Trocheck and then he gets electric. But that's exactly why. Hey, I'm glad he played some playoff games. Great for him. Great experience. Great kid. Can't wait to see him up next year. All that. But if Hedel is, and I have to think if he's practicing no contact or not a no contact jersey, and with the way the reporter has been talking about how he's been flying around the ice, I have to think that he's physically ready.
I'd be
And the thing
shocked
is,
if he couldn't go like right away.
yeah, and I get that, like, but here's the thing. There is such a bias against changing anything when you're winning, but that's a fool's errand because it's a gambler's fallacy that says just because you won before that way means you're going to win again. No. This team could use the depth. I'd love to see Wenberg on the fourth line. I would love to see the third line have a shot in the arm by having somebody as good as Hedel on the ice, playing with Kakko and Cooley. I think it just makes so much sense. It makes us deeper. It adds scoring threats. It adds a guy that can carry the puck in the possession, and it gives that second power play unit, which honestly has not been able to get anything going at all anytime they're on the ice. And I think it gives them somebody that is creative, is good at carrying the puck, has a good shot, and also has good vision. I think it changes the nature of that second power play unit a great deal. So even though they're only going to be out there for 30, 40 seconds, still makes them just a million times better. So I think Rempe sits, Hedel's in, Trouba out, Jones in. That'll never happen, but the Hedel might. Your thoughts?
You know what? I never thought Laviolette would ever put Trouba to the third line. I'm in agreement that I'd put a lot of money that he's not going to scratch Trouba.
No,
you know what? It's not I don't think it's a definite for me anymore. I think Laviolette has shown time after time again, and man, that when he put Trouba to the third line, which I never thought they would ever do, I'm not gonna close the door and say it's definitely not going to happen.
He's not going to sit the captain after the 6th win in a row, though. If
No,
they would have lost tonight, then
if he plays like this tomorrow,
might have been a possibility. But it's still a long shot, honestly.
Oh no, it's 100% a long shot. But I'm saying is, I don't think it's not after this game, but I think if he plays like that again, in Game 3, I don't think it's a definite no. I think it's still very unlikely, but I'm not going to close the door on it. It's the problem is also the Panarin line. They're one of the most dynamic offensive lines, not one of the most dynamic offensive line for the Rangers, but they're not like a puck possession line, right? They'll have their quality high danger chances, but Carolina's got to get a chance there. But versus the third line, they've been such possession monsters. They've just suffocated Carolina. You got to be worried that you might take that away. Again, I'm in agreement because, listen, worst comes to worst, third line isn't playing well. Okay, you put Wenberg in there instead. Rempe was already not going to play in the third period anyway. Oh, Roslovic's not playing well. Okay, so switch him with Hedel, right? Yeah. There are options, and
the depth that he adds, I don't care.
The player he's replacing isn't even playing all the time anyway.
Nope.
So no, I to be honest though, I don't. If Rempe got a penalty for breathing tonight again, I think they would, but I don't know. I again, I'm not going to 100% doubt Laviolette anymore because I wouldn't be totally surprised if he plays game 3, but I'm definitely leaning towards he isn't.
Yeah, I would say so. It'd be a lot different if we lost, but
yeah, they gotta tighten up. I mean, that first period, you don't want to go back and forth with Carolina. That you're playing then to their strengths. You don't do that, even though Rangers apparently can still win that way. But you got to tighten up like you did in the first game, and they do more of a counter attack. This open ice hockey, you're playing with fire. They did it in the first period, and they paid. And still, even then, the goals were a bit avoidable. Though the third one was in the third period, right?
Second, wasn't it?
Second, I don't know, man. It
was late. It was late. It was like with a minute left in the second period.
Oh, right. It's 5 seconds left. Yeah. So,
yeah,
like there were such avoidable goals. They got to tighten up more defensively. They can't play too loose. They did. They got away with the win, but you can't do this again in game 3. It's not. You could put the nail in the coffin here in game 3. Don't play around with it. Don't get cocky. Don't get loose. Just stick to the game that you had in the first game. I get it's sometimes hard to be that patient, and it's frustrating that you got to wait for those 1 or 2 chances that you're going to get since you're not, being more risky and more open ice hockey. But that's how you suffocate Carolina, and that's how you win because their game plan is so predictable. As long as you stick to your plan, you're beating them. I mean, there is always that team in the playoffs that figures it out against them, and Carolina loses in such convincing fashion.
Yep. You are not wrong. And I'm just going through my list here as I'm about to fall asleep with a massive headache.
Do you think ESPN likes
so
the Rangers?
That was the last thing. I was going through my list. I was like, we got to stop playing Rempe. We're better. Igor's better. We were so tired. It's time for Hedel. It's time for Jones. True was the liability. Laffy nearly nets a Hattie. Soft call. Dave Jackson says no. Fox is hurt. Last thing on the list. ESPN is terrible.
I did have one more thing.
Okay, get to it, and then I want to rip into ESPN.
Okay. Well, the other thing, I guess it goes on what I was just saying before, is that if you noticed a lot of the breakouts, which, I mean, look, Laviolette has changed the whole structure and the assistant coaches of the breakout this year, and that was a huge problem last year. They were flat-footed a lot on the breakout this game. Like the defensemen, whether it was Miller or Trouba, even Fox or Lingo, like whoever it was, they just stood behind the net, and everyone's getting mad at them. Well, they can't pass to anyone. Everyone's just flat-footed, and you're not going to have any momentum. The minute you get the puck on your stick, Carolina players already got to be there. I don't know why they stopped moving. They really fixed that up this year, and I have not seen this type of thing in a little bit to this extent, to this degree of being bad. I hope they got that out of their system because you can't pull that stuff against Carolina. That's like the number one thing you don't do. You don't fool around in the defensive zone when breaking it out against Carolina, because if you turn it over, as literally we saw on the third goal, they're going to make you pay. You can't be flat-footed. You got to keep moving, and you got to open up those passing lanes for the defensemen. Because I was at the game where everyone was booing Fox or Trouba. I'm like, you can't really boo them because they have no one to pass to. Everyone's just standing still. I don't get it, but look, it's Lav. He'll fix it. That's what he's been doing the whole season. Anyway, ESPN.
So ESPN did a number of fun things tonight. My favorite was probably at the end of the third period where there was about a minute left and we had a power play. They decided, we'll switch over to the Dallas game for the national anthem for like a solid 30 seconds. I was losing my mind. But my favorite thing that they did consistently all night was the play is going on, and they would cut to the Carolina bench to watch somebody on the bench for like 3-4 seconds while the puck is in play. It's a live play, and they would cut.
I saw Mike Rupp calling it out.
They did this a number of times, and I'm like, what fucking more? Like, what moron do you have? Like, okay, so like a broadcast team, like there's a director who's basically calling the shots, saying this is what I want. Like go to this camera, go to this camera. There's somebody doing that. Whoever is doing that job right now needs to be relieved of his fucking duties because he doesn't know hockey to the point where he's like, yeah, live play, cut away from it. I want to get a shot of this guy heading to the bench right now. Fucking outrageous. Absolute crime. Their presentation felt like as if it was a Canes home broadcast. It was fucking absurd. How often they were talking about the Canes and the Canes this, Canes that. When
Laffy, talk about Crosby at all?
When Laffy had that beautiful goal, all they talked about was like, oh, it was a mistake by the Canes over here, mistake over here, and an easy goal for Laffy. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He fucking roofed that shit. Like, yeah, he was screened, but I didn't hear you making the excuses on the other end when Igor was screened. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Outrageous. It was basically a home broadcast for them. Terrible at the actual job, terribly biased.
But did they talk about Makar and Crosby?
I mean, no.
That's impressive.
No, I didn't hear any Crosby talk.
That is impressive. You got to give credit when due.
So I guess on that scale, but yeah, otherwise, I mean, from literally moving away from the game to another game as it's still like a power play with a minute left, unconscionably bad. The constant cutaways in live play, terrible. The horribly biased commentary. And Sean McDonough, his attitude too is like he talks about, oh, that should have been a call against the Rangers. But anytime a Ranger got taken down, there was no call. He's like, oh, the fans want a call, they're not going to get it, and move along. And I'm like, you're so fucking biased. It's so fucking obvious. And I know a lot of fan bases think that like, people are biased against us, and a lot of times it's not true. I really do think that the Rangers in general are like a fairly unpopular team when it comes to like people in the fucking industry, because it certainly seems that way.
No, 100%. And yeah, my experience tonight with ESPN was just those clips where people were posting, and it's just I'm like, I saw. Did they cut to the Dallas, Colorado pregame for like a minute or two? No, like for a second or two, like with 4 minutes left.
That's what I was just talking about. Were you not listening? I was saying with a minute left in the third.
No, I'm sorry.
They cut to the Dallas game for like a solid like 20, 25 seconds.
I'm sorry. Colorado came back from a 3-0 deficit.
Oh, that's what you said. I'm losing my mind too. They said they cut away to the. Never mind. It's fine. We should end this broadcast. Apparently.
Do you remember with like a week or two left in the regular season, you were like, I want the playoffs to start already. Like, it's so exciting. You still feel like it's exciting and not stressful out of your mind where it causes a headache, and odds are of us getting up early in the morning are a near zero.
Well, I actually have to, which is why we really do need to end this. But,
okay.
But I wasn't looking forward to the playoffs because I was like looking for an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
I'm well aware. Now, I'm well aware of that. What I said was I was getting pretty bored of the pretty meaningless regular season games. I just want the playoffs to start already.
You prefer losing your sanity at like 11 o'clock at night when
Carolina missed a
one-timer?
You're saying that as if I ignorantly and naively wandered into the playoffs like I've never been there before and had no idea what I was getting myself into.
No, it's just of course I do. I'm just saying like it's hard.
It's time for this.
Man,
it was well past time to get into this step of hockey, that's for sure. But
it's insane. It's
fucking
yeah, undefeated. I mean, man, there were times in the game I'm like, man, it's the Rangers and they never quit. They're always in it. But if they win this, there were points where I thought if they win this, it's borderline stealing the game. But honestly, in overtime, they really made up for that. They really
in the overtime it was the Canes that ended up looking tired. Like we looked tired for the regular the regular game, but regular game, Brett.
Regular.
I can't even. This is how fucking tired and like I have a splitting headache. Is I can't even in the regular game. I'm done.
Excuse me, that's the regular season game.
I can't keep going when I
All right, hold on. Last thing, we got to do predictions for Game 3. We got to do predictions for Game 3.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, so previously when Will was on here, I said that Game 3 would be the blowout game for Carolina winning.
Still feel that way?
I don't know. It is such a hard thing to get a pulse on game. I mean, literally, Game 2 just happened, but man, I see where the Canes could like win like 5-1, and I could see where the Rangers just shut them down and win 3-2. Like this could go anyway. I don't know how anyone could possibly predict what Game 3 is going to be.
3-1 Rangers.
Oh, there you have it.
There you go.
All right. I think we're going to end it off here before we faint live. Our next podcast will be released Monday morning prior to Game 5, which there won't be because the Rangers are going to take this, come back home with the sweep. But anyway, thank you to the listeners, and we will see you next time.